Hello everyone, and this is episode 88 of Double Cross Anime. I'm Mario, and
I'm
with
Whooper.
me, who just ate some apple, enjoying his apple
I
actually.
did.
So this week we're gonna talk about episode 7 of Eizouken, episode 8 of Ido Invaded, and Magia Record, and episode 19 of Chihara Furu.
Season
and
3.
volume and volume 4 of Goodnight Poon Poon.
Right. Up to chapter 46.
I think we can start with Chihara Furu.
Well, all right. We're in the middle of it now.
Yep.
The Meijin and Queen matches, I mean.
Yeah, well, we actually finished one of them.
Right. So it does appear as though the Queen match is just 2 out of 3 and the Meijin is 3 out of 5, based on what we saw. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Sexism running rampant even in the Karuto world.
Well. It actually they are doing that in consideration for the women's health.
See, but you're
Because-
not supposed to in the year 2020. You're not supposed to consider women's health.
All right.
You're supposed to mistreat them the same way that you do men.
Well, Chihara Furu, I think the shop material is like 10 years ago, so
Yeah. I guess that's true. We did wait a long time for season 3.
right.
And
But,
yeah, the Queen match is over, and Shinobu won, as expected.
Yep, that's right. As expected. I would love to see more in for the two of them, for Shinobu and Inokuma, but like in overall, I think they have great moments in these matches.
You think
What
so?
do you think? Yeah. All right. You don't think so?
Well, in terms of like this episode and the last one, no, I don't feel as. I mean, it ended so anticlimactically. Inokuma double faulting in order to lose the title. That, I mean, were you particularly happy with that conclusion? I wasn't.
I'm actually okay with that. I think it's just like a slip of moment, and it decide the queen. So it actually something that make the queen, and something make the loser the loser. So I do think that it's a deciding moment, and it's a good moment for me.
I mean, yeah, it's a deciding moment, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that when you're writing your story, that should be the moment that you choose to be the deciding moment. Like as the author, you have control over your the finished product. And earlier in the episode, she says something along the lines of like, I want to be a role model. I want to be an inspiration to any young women who love this game. I want to show them that it's possible to do this while you have 3 kids.
Yep.
Was that this episode or
Right,
the last
yep.
one, actually?
That the last one. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. My point stands. She wanted to function as an inspiration to that sort of player. And losing the chance of the Queen title the way she did, I feel like that's not really very inspiring. I mean, she's a fictional character, so I don't pity her or look down on her or anything like that. That'd be silly, but would have preferred something a little bit more neck and neck. But it's difficult for the show to pull that off when it's also focusing so closely on the Meijin competitors.
Yeah, that's right. Because the matching is like neck to neck. They literally have like one cut left for each.
Yeah,
So
luck
it's
of the
like
draw.
it's luck of the draw. And the same thing I think happened to the first match of the Queen, where they were decided by the luck of the draw as well. So I think that's one of the reasons why they try to avoid repeating the match.
Oh, I wouldn't like you're talking about the Queen match.
The Queen match, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want it to go to a luck of the draw situation. I'm thinking maybe what I would have done was I would have Shinobu's on a roll, right? Because she's reconnected with the cards.
Yep.
After her shrine visit and walking down the middle of the steps, the place reserved for gods.
Yep.
That's the connection that Chihaya. That's the first connection that Chihaya ever had with her, looking at her as though she's some sort of god. So she's thinking about the art on the decorative versions of the cards and how she can place the poets together so that they're happy. She's back in her groove. So let's say she gets all the way down to one card, but it's perhaps like one of her least favorites. One that she doesn't have a very strong connection to, and then all of a sudden Inokuma comes surging back. Maybe she has like 5 cards, or let's say like 7, and she takes, I don't know, 3 or 4 in a row, and it looks like she's got all the momentum, but then Shinobu remembers she happens upon some memory from her past, some memory involving this last card that she rarely ever takes, and then she hears the reader start to say the first syllable, immediately puts her hand down, and it's over. Isn't that so much more interesting and dramatic than a double fault? Somebody get Shonen Jump on the phone right now. I'm pitching my own manga.
All right, I think this is on the same level with the baseball match. They usually end it very anticlimax. But that's a good ending that you got here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we both probably knew that Shinobu was going to win.
Yep.
She's, the gods scene walking down the middle of the steps that I was just talking about, and Chihaya's, the significance that has in Chihaya's mind, like she is the final obstacle.
Yep.
She has to stick around as the queen for next year.
I like the way that Shinobu thinking when she was playing the match. She was thinking about like how she loved the cat and like how the cat had like connection with her, and then she also think that the cat also like that woman,
Yeah.
So like
right.
nothing is set in stone, nothing is for sure, for Shinobu, and I think this is like the first time that Shinobu have that kind of thinking towards her opponents. Like she actually acknowledged how strong and how good Inokuma is.
Yeah, and what kind of connection she had to the cards.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah, which is that's where Shinobu thinks that strength comes from. She has
I don't think she ever.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just gonna say that I don't think she have never think about it that way with Chihara.
Yeah,
and the
I don't
connection
either.
to the cat thing.
I don't think that she believes that about Chihaya either. But I'm sure that when they play their match, eventually, when they get their rematch, that she probably will. Because that's the language, sort of, that Shinobu uses in order to play Karuta. If she sees someone performing exceptionally well, that's what she thinks of them, is that they have that strong connection.
Yep.
I mean, maybe that's what Chihaya is going to develop. Maybe we'll see her develop something like that over the course of the next year.
Right. You were about to say something?
No, I've already forgotten what I was about to say. It's fine. But we spent a long time talking about the women's match, but honestly, that was such a small part of the episode. It was mostly Suo's episode.
That's right. So we got like a backstory of Suo, and we see like the way we come to know the how he is the way he is, basically.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So she have like a strong connection with his uncle. Aunt.
Yes, Yukiko.
A relative, I think.
Yeah, she's his aunt, however you say it. But he thinks to himself as he's kind of going over his backstory that she feels more like his caretaker than his family. And it's interesting how much he takes after her, even though they're not. They are related, but they're it's not like they're not immediately related.
Yep. I do think that the person that he spoke on the phone from last few episode was her.
Yes, he spoke
Yeah,
to Yukiko for a bit, and then he also spoke to his brother, I think.
right.
It could have been his cousin. No, 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 no,
Mm,
because Yukiko never had any children. So like the way he described his living situation was he was taken away from his parents who were probably like deadbeats or good for nothing. He doesn't even
yep.
remember. So this must have happened at a young age. And
Mm,
he moves to the house of the head family. So he
all
actually
right.
has sort of a similar situation to Shinobu, because Shinobu is also
That's true.
living with her grandmother.
Mm,
After her parents got a divorce, she and her mother went to live with her grandmother, and they're part of a very well-to-do Japanese family. And I think it's the same for Tsuo because if he's going to live with the quote-unquote head family, then it must be a family with some their name has some prestige,
mm,
you know.
might be.
Um,
Yep. The thing that I really like the most, I think, is that Shuo, he started Haruta pretty late in his career as well. So I think he stopped playing when he was in uni or high school.
no, yeah, yeah. He started playing before that, but we did see a lot of him playing at Tokyo U.
Yep. Yep.
And of course he had to play those games,
Mm-hmm.
like those. He had to use those alternative strategies in order to entice people to play with him because he was too good,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
is where that comes from. Like his habits and quirks, that's where they come from.
Yep. Yep.
Which is I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Like he says that he's hollow and he doesn't
Yep.
particularly love the game. He feeds on other people's passions. But
Yep.
I feel as though that sort of mentality um, needs a lot of explanation. You know, we need
Uh-huh.
to know a lot about a person in order to really feel as though they are like hollow.
Right.
And I don't think we got enough of that.
All right. If we're talking strictly about like passionate about the games, I don't think so. I don't think you're really passionate about playing this game. So I think that's what his hollow comes from.
Mm.
If I have to guess now, because that was an interesting take from him. That was like how he see himself, and I think that interesting like how we think of the winner now, because I don't think like this type of players like like the one um who fit in like other people passions in order to play. When he play again Harata Sensei, which is like like a fire of passion. Uh,
Hmm.
I, I think like Harata might win on this one.
Nah,
Nah.
nah. There's no way.
Yep. Maybe you're right.
Um, yeah, I did like the backstory. I
Mhm.
I liked learning about him because it's it's been long enough. We've been confused by his general weirdness for long enough. It was time that we get a little bit of
Yep.
context there.
Yep.
I just like I really think that a lot of your personality is and my I mean science will back me up on this. A lot of your personality is set by the time you're like 5 years old.
Mhm.
The earliest part of your life is where your personality forms.
Mhm.
And of course, everyone has free will and they can make choices and they can make like
Um.
an effort to change. But I like in order for him to be saying these sorts of things, like he has to feed on other people's passions and he doesn't really care about what he's doing. He just wants to make something out of himself. I would have loved to see his early childhood.
Right.
But
Well, we did see a bit of his early childhood.
no, but I'm talking about the stuff before he came to the head family house.
Right. Right.
Like what was going on with his parents who were good for nothing.
Mhm.
That's what I'm interested in early childhood like that, like in terms of learning about a character.
I want to ask you something though. I do agree with you that I do think that the personality of a person that started to form when they are around like 3 to 5 years old. So which is like pretty young age.
Oh, it's like
Um,
it's 0 to 5.
all right, 0 to 5. How do education kind of change that? Is it like having like education itself, like having to go to school, having to interacting with other kids or the same age? Is it gonna affect the personality and like if it does, like how big it is?
That's a question that millions of people would like the answer to.
Right.
Um, I would say that most your primary school education,
Mhm.
that is not really molding your personality. That's molding your behavior.
Hmm. All
So
right. Right.
you're
Right. Yep.
following rules, learning to work together, um, acquiring knowledge, um, modifying your conduct so that you fit into kind of the box that your teacher is looking for you to fit into, that um, your friends around you are fitting into, so you want to fit into the same one.
Yep.
It's but who you are as an individual, like your temperament, how you react to things, how you really feel about things. I
Mhm.
think a lot of that is set in pretty deep by the time you're like 5 years old.
That's interesting, because I also know that there is some, like if some trauma experience that can change people's personality.
In
Like if
what
if
stage of their life? Like after that, when they're
no, no,
older?
like during the time they go to school. So if I say like they got bullied at that time, they're gonna like develop like unsocial skills, scare of meeting other people,
Right,
and that make them like reverse. They don't want to be active. They don't want to stand out.
right.
So it I don't know if it like if it can change people personality just based on one particular painful event.
Well, it depends on the event, and it depends on the length of the event, and it depends on the personality
Mhm.
of the victim. You know,
Right.
it's different from person to person. Of course, I'm speaking very broadly. I'm making a lot of generalizations,
Mhm.
but yeah, everybody's situation is different. Like I'm sure there are adults who make complete turnarounds and recover fully from their traumas, and I'm sure that there are people who are,
Mhm.
the cliche is scarred for life. I'm sure there
Yeah.
are many people um, who suffer and struggle because of the things they had to deal with when they were younger, and they carry it all the way to the grave. You know,
All right, that hurts. But
sad stuff.
yeah, I know.
But and
Or
anyway, speaking about Karuta,
yep, yep.
Haruda had a couple of really cool lines in this episode. I think
Is it
it was
hard?
mostly Suo.
All right. Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you spell it with a D, so it's supposed to be Harada, I guess I would
Yep.
say, but I just said Harada because I'm
I heard
white
that. Yep.
and I don't say things correctly.
Well,
He
I'm
said,
not white. I still say Harada. All right, go on.
yeah, it's easy to say. He says he thinks, in his mind as he's playing Suo, I'll be the one to perform your last rites.
Yep.
Like he's gonna execute him and save the game of Karuto, which is crying out under his under his reign, I guess, as the master. Haruto
Mm-hmm.
wants to save the game that he loves from Suo's just weirdness, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he said, "I'll be the one to perform your last rites," that was like such a badass line.
Come, come to think of it though, I think that's sure. And Shinobu, we see her playing at another tournaments, but like sure, he pretty much like have only the one match per year to play, right? Because he's the
Yeah.
king already.
Yeah. Apart from that, he just plays at Tokyo U, I guess.
Yeah.
But his hearing is like supernatural. And I kind of wish that the show would use some sort of like motif or sound effect or something to spice up every time he takes a card, because it really just does show him very quickly snapping his hand to a card.
Yep.
There's not a lot of flourish when he takes a card, whereas Shinobu Arata, for example, sometimes not Harada, like Arata, the main character. Sometimes he'll like his hand will cut through water in order to get a card, you know. Some sort of effect like that would be nice for Suo, but well, actually, now that I think about it, maybe the reason he doesn't get one of those is because he doesn't feel that connection to the game.
Maybe.
Maybe
So
it's
like
just supposed to look very plain.
right. So maybe in the next episodes, like when he really connected to the game, we can see some of these.
Maybe.
I don't know. We will see then.
Yeah, I mean, he's already supposed to be kind of into this fourth game that they're playing right now.
That's true. That's true.
Like he's forgotten all about the card differential in the queen match, which he was trying to imitate earlier, and now he's really into it because he's feeding on Harada's will to win. There's one shot of him where his head's kind of down, but his eyes are looking up across the mat at Harada, and he thinks to himself, "Man, you really want this, don't you?" And he has a smile on his face, like he doesn't want to let him have it. So I think he's into it now.
All right. I think like in the next episode we're gonna see like the real winner of the king match.
You mean
Which-
Suo?
I hope it's Harada Sensei just for a change.
A lot of people do seem to be like big fans of his. Lenlo is always talking about, he's so cool, he's the best.
Well, for me, my heart always go for Inokuma, even though she is a model of 3. I'm secretly a fan of her.
Oh, I'm not secretly a fan of her at all.
Not secretly.
Inokuma, hit me up. I make no secrets. She's the best.
She is.
But I'm excited to see how the Meijin match will finish and how the season will finish because there's not much time left.
Yep.
We spent 22 and a half minutes talking about Chihayafuru.
All right, let's move on to something that we might not have anything to talk about. My year record.
Okay. Do we not have much to talk about? Let's see.
Let's see.
Okay, I have a question about this episode.
Right.
Were you confused at all by the start? Not the Holy Radio broadcast thing, like not the pre-OP scene. I'm talking
That
about
was
what
pretty cool, actually.
What was?
The pre-opening scenes where they like when they announce a song and it's become the OP.
I actually, you know what? I actually have to disagree with you there. I think that's a little bit too cute when shows do
Is
that.
it?
When they use the OP or the ED in the show itself.
Cute?
Yeah, too cute, like too cutesy,
Right.
too self-aware.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
Breaking the fourth wall a little bit.
I like that, actually.
I have seen it done well. I can't give you any examples, but the last few times that I've seen it done, like in the let's say the last 6 months, it's always kind of put me off.
So this one put you off.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just a personal thing, I mean, it was during a radio broadcast. It's not as though they did it inappropriately.
Right. All right. Back to your question. I don't feel. Did you mean like it's like a gap of time? Because the only thing I feel for the first the first 5 minutes of it is like this is the first time we see Iroha going to school, and it's like episode 8, So I don't know how it's gonna be relevant.
That's not true, though, because we do see her go to school in episode 1 in her hometown.
Oh, in her hometown.
And the school, and the school in Kamihama City, where she's now living, looks identical to the
Is
school.
it?
Yes. So I was confused. I thought I was watching a flashback because the layout of the school is exactly the same.
Uh, all right, I got
So
goosebumps now.
so when she met Reina on the roof, the blue-haired girl,
Right.
I was like, what is she doing there?
Yep.
And then slowly it dawned on me, this isn't a flashback.
Yep.
The school in Kamihama City just looks the same as the one where we saw her in the premiere. So that
I do
that gives
think
me
it
the
intentional.
you think it was intentional?
I think so.
I mean, it must have been, right? Unless
Yep.
they were just super lazy and reused all their layouts. So Kamihama City it's feeling less like a real place at this point. Um, it just feels like
It
some sort of other realm rather than another physical location.
it might be just like the Rebellion movies.
Oh, don't get me started.
Well, you you can go on if you want to.
No, I don't. We gotta, trying to talk less about this one since we blabbed about the first one for so long.
Right. Um. All right. How do you feel about all the rumors this week?
I'll tell you how I feel.
Right.
I feel like they are obviously side quests from a mobile game, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like all the show's locations, for example, the school and
Yep.
Banzai, the Chinese restaurant, are obviously like places that you can click on a mini map in a
Yep.
mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just too much of a mobile game for me. Like I don't know. I feel as though there's not a strong story here. We just are given small little pieces chopped up of a mobile game, and the show kind of stitches them together. Like, for example, there's the Invisible Girl rumor, there's the Electric Wave Girl rumor, Endless
Mm-hmm.
Solitude. Like throwing all these concepts at us, I don't feel as though there's any clear direction. And I'm still
Mm-hmm.
mad that Iroha, like, the show is not focusing on Iroha's search for Ui, her sister.
Right. Yep.
The show just forgets about that for
They
20 out of 22 minutes every week and remembers it whenever it feels like it.
well they did mention though that uh now she following on the rumors in order to get into the uh bit of details of her brothers. Sorry, of her sisters.
Why would any of the
So
rumors? Okay, so she's trying to. She
yeah,
hopes that one of the
well,
rumors is about her sister. Is that the idea?
I think that is the idea. I think the idea is like just checking out on the rumors, on the mysteries, and that will lead to the key to open her sister's secrets.
Now here's what. Putting aside the whole mobile game thing, this just reminds me of a
Right.
video game. Have you ever played a video game where there's like a final boss? But
Uh-huh.
instead of just playing the game normally and then going to the final boss, you play the game like 90% of the way through, and then instead of finishing it, you backtrack and do a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, to get all the what they call
Get more
the
items and
bonus. Yeah,
upgrades.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That
that's right. Yeah,
that's what Magia Record feels like it's doing right now. Like
that's
it's
true.
introducing so many different rumors, whereas instead they just feel like branches off of a main storyline that it should be following. Like we should be tracking Iroha's progress towards a rumor that will lead her to Ui, but we don't seem to be doing that. It's more like a waveform, like just up and down and then backwards for some reason, and I don't know.
Yep. Um, let's say this is episode 8. I think like it quest they will have like 2 episodes, so we're gonna see this 8 and 9. Gonna see like another quest before I think we get into they deal with the main storyline of Iroha fighting Ui.
Well, we've already been introduced to the wings of Magius.
Oh yeah, they come back this time.
Right, they do, but all like the final witch battle, near the end of the episode.
Uh-huh.
First of all, it's over in like zero point 0.5 seconds because Yachio just shows up and one shots the witch. You know,
God.
yeah, it's she throws her spear and then she runs up and stabs it and it's dead. So that was that was like anticlimactic. It's kind of silly. that the girls even thought that they were in any danger at all when Yachio was just so overpowered. But
Hmm.
like putting that aside, after the conclusion of that fight, all the girls are just like, "Whew, I'm sure glad we're safe. Let's go home, guys." Like nothing was learned, nothing was gained by that victory. The characters didn't
Yeah.
move forward in any of their arcs or in any of their stories as a result.
Well, they the main missions. I would say, to that was to rescue Iroha, like to find out where Iroha is and if she were in trouble, rescue her. So
Yeah, but
they
that's
did
that's a
rescue her, you know.
that's a problem that the show created for itself in this
Yeah,
episode.
true. Yep. Um, there is that girl from the wings of my years.
Yeah.
I think her name is Sana Futaba, and I don't really know what's he doing there, basically.
Right. Yeah, we didn't learn anything about like we saw her go up the tower, up the elevator.
Yep.
Um, Iroha follows her. Then oh no, suddenly she's in this witch realm. Scary. What are we gonna do? Oh, Yachio's just gonna show up, take care of everything, and then we're done. Like we do. What did we learn about the Wings of Magius? What did we learn about
Mm.
Futaba or whatever her name is? What did we learn?
Um, all right. I don't think we learned anything about her, but we did learn one thing is that she did say someone names. When Iroha mentioned about the invisible girl and the electric wave girl, whatever, she did say like the name of the girl who disappeared. I think.
Okay, I
So
don't.
I think that's gonna be like the invisible girl or whatever or whatever that is in the rumors.
All right. Well,
So that's a
let's.
clue.
Yeah. Hey, better write that down in my handy dandy notebook.
You know what? I still hanging over from the counting down of the luck
No, that's
last
over.
week. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's
I
over.
mean like I was really expecting something bad gonna happen this week, and
Why would you
it just
expect
turned
that
out
from a
that
mobile game adaptation?
my bad. I'm just too naive.
It's okay. This is a learning experience. It's a good thing we're talking about this show every week.
Well,
Just be like me and automatically discount shows because of their source material. That's a good idea, right?
yeah, that is actually a good idea.
Eh,
Yeah, well, I just I just for now I just finished this show just for the heck of it. For I
yeah, why
just
not?
want to see like how they tie up with the main storyline because that been putting on the sideline for so long.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep watching, man. Like this show has some of the best production of the season,
That that is
in my
correct. That is
opinion.
true. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm down to keep watching.
All right. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, we got that done in pretty good time, like 11 minutes.
Let's go with Edo Invaded.
Okay.
I
More like Edoception.
like the idea though. Um, I actually think that like this event that we see so far is going to heading into the climax. So
Probably. We
we
only have 4 episodes left.
yeah we see like how they reduce the other guys the first serial killers
Fukuda.
Fukuda. All right. So and he make a good pair with Sakaido.
Yeah, because they both go into Momoki's subconscious.
Yep.
It's a big old desert.
Yep. Just a desert. And from his point of view, he actually think that it was a trap. He know that it's a trap
From whose point of view?
from Momoki's.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Why does he know that his own subconsciousness is a trap?
Have no idea why.
You're not supposed to know anything about your subconscious. That's the part of your brain that you can't access.
Yeah, well, he does know that it's a trap. I for some reason I don't know why.
Like logically, that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe because he know that someone planted the idea inside him,
the
like
like the
in
cockpit.
Inception.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the cockpit scene. That's right.
Um, yeah. Okay. Sure. That I guess if he knows that someone operated on his subconscious and planted that there, and that a bunch of people's minds are kind of linked together because what's her face? We didn't get to see where Hondo Machi went, did we?
Oh, she went to the same place. So she have the cockpits with that girl's name. I think her name is Nene, something.
No, Kiki
Oh,
Asukai,
sorry, Kiki Asukai.
right?
So she
Wait, no.
was
It hold on.
all right.
It
Yep.
was it Kiki Asukai's cockpit that she found because that's also the
Yep.
name that's on Sakaido and Fukuda's.
Yeah, that's true. So they go into the same direction.
Okay, so we'll see her subconscious,
So the
next
next
time.
one gonna be a Saikaido and Hodomachi in the same Kiki subconscious.
I
Wow.
suppose so. So, that's it then. The reason Momoki says it's a trap is because her subconscious, this Kiki girl, that's the
Yep.
trap, and
Maybe.
they've both been
Yeah.
lured there.
Right. Maybe that's the thing. But how does he know that he have like Kiki cockpits inside his wall? I have no idea
Yeah,
about that.
that doesn't make any sense to me either. But
But that interesting because inside Sakaido subconscious there is Kiki cockpits, and inside Momoki subconscious there is the same cockpits.
yeah,
And I don't think that I'm not really sure if a Sakaido in real life have seen Kiki before or not.
um, I don't know.
Yeah,
No idea.
we don't know any of that information yet. But we can talk about like the dessert. How you feel about this week? Well,
I feel as though I would not want to go there. I don't want to have to
yeah.
pee on. I don't want to have to pee on my scarf and wrap it around my head to stop my to stop from losing moisture.
Um,
That sounds
I
gross.
I know, right? But it makes sense
Oh yeah,
why
yeah.
he wanted to do that.
I mean, I'm sure that that they looked up, the whenever they were writing the series or storyboarding it, whatever. I'm sure they looked up survival methods in the desert, and that's what you're supposed to do. Like you don't drink your own pee because that just makes you thirstier. The in order to process that liquid, you would have to use the water in your body.
Yeah.
So instead, you just keep it outside of your body, like kind of trapping the coolness and the moisture, because
Mhm.
a lot of that leaves through your head. Like a lot of your body heat leaves through your head.
Yep.
Wait, wouldn't? Okay, never. Whatever. I'm confused.
I'm not really sure either.
Yeah. Well, they made it.
Yep.
It helped them get through the desert.
All
They
right.
worked as a team. Go ahead.
I do have like one question about their deduction skill. So they all realize that like in the corpse and like themselves have like no basically they have like they
The untanned part on their wrist.
yeah, that's right, and they think of like there was a what thief who stole all that and like run away. But the question is like who wearing the watches in two hands in into like
On
how
both
on
wrists.
both
Yeah.
hands, yeah.
I
So
think they were supposed to be handcuffs
huh
because they're both
huh
criminals, right?
yeah, that's right. Yep.
I think they were supposed to be handcuffs.
Yeah,
But the show just
that
didn't
makes
make that
sense.
connection for us because maybe we were only supposed to learn about it later, or
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there was a a crow just flying and they didn't really make any like any assumption at all regarding what that crawl could mean.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was it a crow? I feel like it was more of an eagle or something.
All right.
It was a
Well,
bird, you know.
yeah, but
I think that bird was just probably a visual aid to emphasize the barrenness of the desert. Like, oh, there's no one here besides us except for one bird flying through the sky. Kind of, it's not with any friends. It's flying alone. It's just a small metaphor.
hmm.
I don't think it
Yeah,
was
that
meant
makes
to
sense.
it's not a robot with a camera for an eye, or anything
Yep.
anything like that. It's just there to emphasize that they're alone in the desert. And
Pacing wise. Yep. Go on. Go on.
the quicksand part was terrible.
Yep.
It looked ugly. It was just like one image that was they were using some kind of like photo manipulation tool in order to kind of squish it and stretch it rather than
Yeah.
animating. I mean, animating quicksand is probably difficult as hell.
I know.
It's probably
Yeah.
impossible, honestly. But the way they did it just didn't look great.
Yep.
And then the way that Sakaido gets out of the quicksand
Oh yeah,
by
yeah.
following Fukuda's advice, he's just like, oh, just crawl out, dude. Just crawl out of there.
Yep. Like stop struggling and crawl out. I don't feel like any difference between
Yeah. The very
struggling and
act of
crawling out.
attempting to get your body level with the ground and crawling out is going to make you sink further. Honestly, this episode of ID Invaded was the worst use of quicksand I have ever experienced in a story.
All right.
It added nothing.
Uh, it it meant to be like the way the way of Fukuda think about hell, like getting out of hell. So, my God,
They're already in
It's a-
hell. They're in a desert.
yeah, that's just a stretch.
Yeah.
I think like pacing wise, this the episode is feel longer. I feel like it doesn't have like many of development compared to other episodes.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I do feel that it is longer than it should be.
It's because we spent so much time in the desert and there was so little action
Yeah,
to be
just
had there.
talking basically. Yeah.
Even visually, like a lot of the episode kind of feels the same because of the nature of Momoki's subconscious.
Right.
And you have to wonder, why is it a desert? Like, what does that say about him?
Yeah, he just too cold to dispassionate about everything.
Yeah,
That
maybe.
he dying inside. Everything become a desert. I don't know that.
Perhaps.
Maybe. But I'm pretty sure the next one gonna be interesting. The next one is where Sakaido and Hondomachi I think meet up,
Most
officially
likely.
meet up, and work together and like figure out what the hell is inside Kiki's mind and maybe figure out the trap themselves.
Or fall into it.
Yeah, or fall into it.
Yeah, next one ought to be... I mean, if it's a trap, it's probably not going to be another desert. It's not going to be
No,
something
no.
so visually static.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit more high octane,
All right.
perhaps. I don't know.
The title for the next one gonna be Inside Out It. What's that telling you?
It's just going to be a movie theater, and they're going to watch the Pixar film Inside Out.
Oh my God. That makes sense.
Makes
I
about
would
as
be
much
invested
sense
to
as
see-
anything else in this show.
All right. I'm a bit disappointed with the visual. So
Yeah.
the production basically. So like the character fights are pretty stiff as well.
Yeah. I would say
And-
so.
Yep. Hopefully they save some of the budget for the last few episodes of the series.
Yeah, put more time into it.
Yeah,
Like
like
we hope the production desk has allocated more man hours and resources into what comes later, because it's not all about money. It's about the organization of the whole production,
yep.
as we
Right.
know from shows like Eizouken.
Yep. Let's move
Look
on
at that!
to
Look,
Ezoken.
did you hear that transition? Did you hear that
Yep.
segue? Yes.
So subtle. I really like the first few segments where they focus on the beautiful girl.
What?
I'm looking up her name. Shubane.
Mizusaki. Oh yeah, you like the. I mean, they all call each other by their family names,
All right,
don't
we
they?
can go with the, yeah, yeah, yep.
All right. Well, whatever. I'll know who you're talking about, based on context.
Right.
But I know they call each other Mizusaki, Asakusa, and Kanamori.
All right. Let's just go them in with their family name. I like the way
You call them
just
whatever you
her.
want. You call them whatever you want.
All right. I just like the way that she curious with the like the action, the form, the movement of of the thing. So like she would ask her grandmother to just throw the tea.
Hmm.
I love that. I love that. And the movement of sitting down, walking up, and get up. I really like all this. Like her fascination with movement.
Right. Yeah, it's great. It gives you a little bit of a window into how an animator thinks and how they
Yep.
study, the real world and how that informs their craft.
Yep.
She took every opportunity to animate and to think about animation, like her
Mm-hmm.
grandmother throwing the tea, everything in modeling school about how to sit up,
Yep.
how to walk, um,
Mm-hmm.
and the anatomic models she was drawing in her sketchbook were pretty advanced for her
Mm-hmm.
age. Like
Yep.
during the scene where, because she started at the modeling school at a really young age.
Mm-hmm.
She's part of that rich family, so I guess that's where they decided to put her.
Right.
But the thing
But
that made her
the go on. Yeah. Yep.
the thing that made there was a long time, a long portion of this episode dedicated to um, this little these little scenes, these vignettes, I guess I don't know what to call them, of Mizusaki's life before the credits, before the
Mm-hmm.
OP came on. So we got a
Yep.
lot of time here, and the thing that really tied it all together was that she not only used her experiences to draw these models in her sketchbook and to as like training for becoming an animator, but she also made connections with her grandmother based on what she had learned. So she was
Yeah. Yeah.
helping
That's true.
someone and building on a personal connection that she had, helping her to
Mm-hmm.
stand up, to walk through the hallway.
Yep.
I thought that made it into a nice solid package.
Yeah. That. Yeah. I agree. I really love like the on the scenes before the opening scenes. It say a lot about her characters and her love for animation in general.
Yeah, and her
It just
grandma.
and her grandma and her love for grandma. It's just that like after the opening credit, there's a really long stretch of sequences about them having taking bath.
Not immediately after the opening credits.
Not
First,
immediately.
yeah, first they what do they do? They have a meeting with the members of the art club who've been doing backgrounds, and there are problems
Yep.
with that because Asakusa's instructions originally were not clear enough. She was too lenient. She was too nervous
Yep.
when telling the members of the art club what she wanted, and she said, "Well, we'll basically leave it up to you."
Yep.
So I feel like the pickle that they've gotten themselves into is pretty much on her as the director, because I do think that she fills the director role if she's given these
Right.
sorts of instructions. And then Mizusaki, the reason they're backed up in the first place is because she's taking too long with the animation. It's
Yep.
the same issue that they were having when they were doing the animation test that they screened in
Yep.
episode 4 or something.
Yep.
She wanted to do it all her way, and it slowed them down, and it almost cost them the ability to screen that project at all. It almost didn't get
Yep.
finished.
Hmm.
So I mean, there was a lot of production stuff, like updates on their progress and things before they went to the bathhouse.
Mm.
Sorry, I
They
had to
they
clear my throat.
Yep. They even have a scenes where they do the voiceover with the robot club
Oh
members.
yeah,
Oh my god. So those scenes I actually really appreciate. I can see like the progression of the production so far, and even like with these with the background turned out to not be the way that Asakusa want. I think that is necessary. I mean, like, she have to look for to point out all the things that she wanted, to be included.
right. Or not
So,
included. Like for example, the background artist drew the car that was supposed to be a
right.
cell.
Yep. All that. So I do think this step is necessary, like the communication between them.
Yeah.
So I do think it's so good. Do agree with you that Asakusa, in that case, failed as a director, as failed as giving direction to precise the decision to others. But I think it's fine. And then
I
we
don't,
get like a long stretch of them taking bath.
and you really want to get onto this bath thing, huh?
No.
You jumped
I'm not
jumped there
really.
right away. I was like, "Oh, slow down. Let's talk about the episode." So
Yep. Well,
what I'm gathering, I think, is that you were not a fan of the bathhouse scene.
one thing that I'm glad that they don't like, sexualize those girls, because knowing USL and how he deal with shows like Devilman Crybaby, like everything that transformed to sex. This
Yeah.
one I'm really glad that they did nothing to sexualize on these girls,
Well, why
but
would
that they
they?
are, well, why wouldn't they?
Because it's not that sort of work. I mean, look at their designs.
Mm,
Even Mizusaki, the beautiful model, is a very relatively plain looking. She has a little short bob haircut. She doesn't have big old tits. She doesn't have a ditzy personality. She's
Yeah.
just a nice, thoughtful and cheerful girl.
All right, but
It's
in this
it's not that sort of
industry
show.
though, yeah, but in the industry though, we always get like some of random shot about girls, taking bath, naked, like or their boobs just juggling around.
You can
So
when you
I
start
wouldn't be
watching an
surprised
anime,
though.
when you
Yep.
start watching an anime, you can tell what kind of series it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like in let's say for example, Mushishi. Let's imagine a world where Ginkgo is a woman,
Huh.
and you start watching Mushishi, you start to understand its atmosphere and its sense of purpose. Do you think that there's going to be like a really sexualized scene of this female Ginkgo taking a bath at any point?
For Mushishi, I can say, but
No,
for
you
sure,
can
like,
say.
no.
The answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no.
It's
But
the same. It's the same thing with Azokin.
let's say for show like Psychopaths, you think that they're gonna have those scenes?
Yes, in Psychopaths, I think it's very possible. You can tell because of the design of the female characters.
Right.
Think about the blonde woman with the lipstick who's always smoking cigarettes
Yep.
in the video room or whatever her job title is. I mean, she is like literally sex personified.
Mm-hmm.
You can just tell. Like these girls don't have the typical designs that you would expect from a show that would abuse its characters like that. I mean, abuse is probably too strong a word. present its characters in that sort of sexual way.
Yep.
So the bathhouse scene was fine.
All right.
They were just talking. I
All
mean,
right.
honestly, I'm happy that we got a scene where the bathhouse is kind of a place where the sort of conversation that they had could occur,
Mhm.
because when they're at school, or when they're working in that little shed, their clubhouse, which is, I'm afraid every time I watch an episode, it's going to fall down on top of their heads and kill them all. When they're in those places, they're in work mode or they're in study mode. Here they get away from that for a little bit.
Mhm.
And what are you going to do oh, sorry, I think I just hit my mic. What are you going to do in the bathhouse if not just talk, just converse? What else is there to do?
Taking bath.
Yeah, but they just soak in the water.
Yeah. All right. Yep. That.
It was
Yep.
fine.
All right. All right.
Not all anime. Hashtag it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nice scene, and the one thing that I appreciated about it is that there were a lot of callbacks in their dialogue to what we learned about Mizusaki earlier in the episode. For example, she says that she's a grandma's girl, and that her parents give her a lot of freedom, apart from not being able to animate.
Yep.
They let her do what she likes. She even uses the bend and stand technique that she observed in modeling school and that she used to help her grandmother. She uses that same motion in order to pick up Asakusa after she falls asleep.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they have that little crawfish meal where they fish for the crawfish outside.
Yeah.
That was so comfy.
Hmm.
And Asakusa falls asleep, and so she uses that bend and stand method to pick her up on her back.
That's something she learned for life.
Yeah. And I mean, the show's demonstrating that these lessons that she learned have really stuck with her, probably because she solidified them in her mind via drawing, via animation.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Why did you want to talk about the bathhouse scene so much, man?
No, because I just look at all the screenshot that I got, and the bathhouse scene is like half of.
Oh, whoa,
my
whoa!
screenshot. And it
Let's not expose
was,
ourselves.
and it wasn't, it just randomly taking. It just taken
random.
this. Yep.
All right.
So I just see like, oh my god, why is it taking bath like took a really long portion of the episodes.
I don't really think it was that long.
All right. All right.
I mean, do you count the fantasy sequence where Asakusa was in the paddle boat, going down the slide and taking off? Do you count that as being part of the bathhouse sequence?
Yeah, it's in between. So yes, I did count that.
Yeah, I would as well. I was actually pretty disappointed in that scene.
Oh, how comes?
The like Asakusa in the paddle boat, like the scene where she went down the slide. She appeared to be moving in slow motion, but that wasn't the show's intention. Just not a high frame count in that sequence, and the slide was pretty short. Because that's a very animation intensive scene. Because the slide is curved, you can't just use the same image of Asakusa going down the slide.
Down.
Yeah, you can't repeat it the same way that you do with a walk cycle, because the slide is curved. The angle of the paddle boat has to change.
Yep. I see what you mean.
And you also have to deal with the water as the paddle boat moves through the slide and pushes the water to the side and it spills over the edges. That's very difficult. It's very complex to animate, and they really cheaped out on it. If you rewatch it, it does not look pretty.
Yep.
A lot of the other fantasy sequences have looked very nice. This one, not so much.
All right.
So that's
wow. All right. Yep. Do you have like any other note?
Oh, absolutely. The best part of the episode was the last scene. We haven't even
All
talked about
right.
it. The
Right.
rocket,
Go on. Yeah. The rocket.
where like basically Mizusaki said Sakuga lives matter. Her whole explanation about why it's so important to capture motion realistically in
Uh,
animation is exactly what I believe about 2D anime. Honestly, she says it can be a subtle movement, but the fact that someone had to draw it out in order to make it move gives it a bigger impact. That's why anime is there are a lot of things about anime that I don't like and don't really care about. The thing that's interesting about anime to me is that all of it is completely intentional. In live action, if an actor needs to pick something up, I'm sure that they have specific body language that they're going for when they play a character. But they don't think about like picking something up from a table. They don't think about every single miniature movement of their arm and of their hand as they
that's
move
right.
to pick it up. In anime, you do. Everything you see was drawn by someone. I mean,
Yep.
uh, if you're not using software, like in betweening software,
Yep.
which Yuasa does from time to time. But that's what's so interesting about anime, and Mizusaki explains that by talking about like how you would direct the scene where the rocket takes off, where you need a wide shot, where you need to see the smoke really coming out in order to demonstrate the lengths that the rocket is going to in order to take off, the angle at which it enters the stratosphere. She goes through all of that and talks about what's necessary in order to give that scene the feeling that it needs, and why that's so important. Why the animation is more important than the anime. Like I think that's a really interesting personal philosophy that she has. And that whole scene was great. I loved it.
Um, I love it as well. I do feel like these rocket scenes remind me of one anime in particular. You know which one? Can you guess
Space
which one?
Bros,
Nah.
Planeteer
I
stuff.
haven't what this is. I haven't what that shows.
Okay, which one then?
Millennium Address.
Okay, I've seen a Millennium Actress, but I don't remember which scene you're talking about.
It's like the very first few scenes.
Oh, okay.
Where the address go into space, and it's actually revealed that the the detective was watching the movie from her.
Right. Yeah. It pulls out and it shows you that she's an
Yep.
actor.
Yep. And there was like the actual shakiness that from the detective point of view is what the earthquake, but we can see like the rocket was really the booming and shaking at the times.
Right. Yeah, I think that's probably something that Mizusaki mentioned as well. That you need the camera shake.
Yep.
You
To make an impact.
right. Yeah. Every frame, is being. As assuming that the production isn't just a complete rush job and you're not just trying to get some quick cash or promote a mobile game or something. And hey, even mobile
Did
game
you talk about my year record?
even mobile game advertisements can look good. That's something we learned for sure this season. But
Right.
it is intentional. Everything's intentional when you're animating.
Yep.
And I thought she expressed that really well. So I was a fan of
I,
that scene.
I do think like half of the time the sharp anime get away of that. Like they have like a really static, beautiful shot with like no one ever move at all, and like the conversation is still on and on.
Ah, yes, the Monogatari
Yeah,
effect.
that's right.
Yep. I
All
mean,
right.
I'm not opposed to that sort of thing, like a PowerPoint. Um, it's okay. I would prefer that things move around, because it is anime.
Yep.
But if I am watching like a really elaborately designed PowerPoint and it's got nice music to carry it. The characters are, you know, present in the scene in a way that makes me want to keep watching them. Then I'm okay with slideshows. Just not when the show is moving for 5 minutes and then like all of a sudden it looks as though they ran out of time, you know.
Yep. Yeah. I can see that. All right. Time to move on to Poon Poon.
Yep. Volume 4.
All right, Volume 4.
How'd
Oh
you
my
like
God.
it?
The first part where it tells the story about Yuchi the uncle and that girl
Yeah.
was really fuck up. I like it,
Yeah.
but it's dark. But eventually we actually learn that so that girl been manipulated Washio into like hurting or even killing her mother.
Yeah. The fact that she didn't die
Mm-hmm.
and that he didn't die, I was like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? I thought that
He,
Washio,
he act-
remember when he was trying to pull open the oven to get
Right.
his vase that was like baking in there?
Yep.
He didn't die.
I just noticed like his hands were all burned, so I just thought to myself that like he not gonna be doing pollen again, but
Pottery.
eventually he did. Yeah, pottery. Sorry. Eventually he did.
Yeah. He made some dinky little cup that Yuichi drank out of when he went back in chapter whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
I like honestly, I was kind of disappointed with the lack of death.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
And
because
you.
because Yuichi has been saying to Midori, before we got into the flashback, he's been saying like I'm just human scum, and there's you shouldn't want to be with me because I've I don't know what was
Maybe.
it that he said exactly?
All right, maybe that's the point out, because UHG is like left in the middle of it, so he doesn't know like the fate of the mother or the fate of Ovashio. So like he doesn't even know that if they alive or not, and it's especially the girl as well. So when he came back, he learned it that like everything actually not as worse as he thought. So like everything actually starting looking up. Even Washio actually get over it, and it's Yuichi who's the one who's still stuck with the past. I do think that it is the point that everything turned out less serious than he thought.
Yeah, but then he tries to commit suicide.
Yeah, because he still think of himself as a scum that he
Right.
gonna hurt the people he love, and
But
he doesn't want to do that. All right.
yeah. But why? Like, wouldn't learning that Mrs. Yagi had actually died in the accident, like she gets taken to the hospital and she dies on the table, the operating table, whatever. Wouldn't that be something that would be like more likely to push him over the edge?
That would be, but that would be what him expected. Did it? And this one is more like everything actually resolved, and he realized that he's still stuck in the past, and he thought that it was for the better, but he still feel like he couldn't get over it. So it's like it's another stage of kind of self pity, depression from him.
Yeah. I mean, I understood the logic, I suppose, not the in-universe logic, but like Asano's logic when he was writing this story about why Yuichi would, like, why he would take that step and sit down on the train tracks, because he's been dealing with all this negativity, self-hatred and just disgust. And when he learns that things were resolved more peacefully than he had imagined, he doesn't know what to do with those feelings. Like it doesn't match the
Yep.
outcome at the end of that part of his life doesn't match how he feels currently, and so he doesn't know
Mm.
what to do with those feelings except end them, you know, and
That.
and
Yep.
himself. But I don't know, for him to be talking to Midori and saying like I'm so fucked up, you shouldn't want to be with me. I would think that sort of mentality would result from knowing that you had played a part in someone's death.
Yeah.
Uh,
W- w- Well,
and
the
and
thing
that's not the
is like
case.
he. Yeah, but yeah. Come to think of it, like the thing is, UHG doesn't have anything to do with the mother, even if she dead.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, he on some level he probably feels responsible because he did not reciprocate this girl's feelings. Pottery
Mhm.
girl, I call her in all my notes because we don't know her first name, right?
Yeah, we don't know her first name.
I always call her Pottery Girl. So he didn't reciprocate her feelings. Then he goes on a 2-week trip.
Hmm.
He's supposed to be on a vacation to Morocco, but instead he's just hiding out in his apartment probably.
Hmm.
And during those 2 weeks is when Pottery Girl hooks up with what's his name, Washio,
Washio.
and manipulates him into uh, killing her mother or attempting to kill her mother.
Hmm.
So in his mind, he probably feels guilt over the fact that she sought out that other alternative
Yep.
because he rejected her.
Yep.
So he probably did feel guilty. So there
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
in his mind there is a tie between himself, his actions, and what happened to Mrs. Yagi.
Hmm.
Like that's not made
I think.
explicit, but
I
I'm
think
sure I'm sure he thinks that way.
I think he would know that if he accepted her, her love, her offer, her passion, he would end up be the same. So I think that's what he feel guilty about.
He would end up being the same how.
No, no, sorry. He would end up killing her mother with a
Oh,
hammer.
no way.
I think that's what he's feel guilty about.
No, I don't. I think you and I are reading the scene completely differently.
All right.
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I mean, we already knew that Washio was a creep. Um,
Right.
we saw him spying on this girl through the
Hmm.
hole in the door at the community center wherever they teach their classes. And I like to pat myself on the back for a moment
Uh,
because of what I said last week about Washio being a pedophile based on
yep.
his speech about like the formation of a piece of art
Right.
being the beautiful part and the,
Yep.
the finished product being worthless. And in the end, he took the blowjob and went off the deep end and tried to kill this girl's mother. So
Yep.
I mean, that was a signal, I suppose, in the last volume that he was, messed up in
Ye-
that way.
Right.
But like, I
W-
think Washio he was unhinged, like from the start. Um, Yuichi
hmm.
wouldn't have done the same thing that he did.
Hmm. That's interesting. I would have think that UHG gonna do that as well if he he's been influenced by that pottery girl. One little thing that I find interesting though is that that pottery girls, she actually not living in the house at all, but she not like living happily attending college or uni.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
I'd say there's 100% chance that she recurs in some way because her current
hmm.
location was given to Yuichi.
Huh. All right. All right. Hmm.
Like they specifically said Kyoto,
Yep.
the
Yep.
city where
Yep.
she is.
Yep.
I
Hmm.
have I actually after this volume I have a whole bunch of theories about where the story is going to go.
All right. All right, go on.
I don't want to say them, dude.
So
But
nobody gonna knows that if your theory gonna be correct or not.
I was already correct about Washio. I'll just take that, and I'll take that small victory and treasure it for a little while.
Good job.
The clapping. Okay, so yeah, Yuichi rejects the girl's advances
Right.
eventually. You know, once he gets to put
Is
his
that
hands
just
on her a
your
little bit.
theory?
What?
Is that your theory, or is that you just
Oh no! I'm not
summarize
talking
what?
about I'm not talking about my theories. I'm kind of moving back into talking about Volume
All
Four.
right. Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah. All right.
he after he feels her up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
he rejects her advances. Then there's the whole thing where she's in the closet, and that like really turns him on. So
Yeah.
it's true that he's a pervert, and perhaps not even just in a sexual sense, but he is like a very perverted way of thinking in general.
Mhm.
Um, and
Well,
then
we actually see hints of that, like the way he always look at the like random girls' butt.
oh yeah, and the laser beam eyes when he ejaculates.
Yeah, 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 true. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
they
Mhm.
like spiral off in all directions in the room. That was so funny.
Yep. Mm.
Um, but like it's true that Yuichi he's messed up in his own way because he when Pottery Girl is in the closet hiding and he's having this conversation about marriage with his current girlfriend, which
Mhm.
eventually leads to sex when they make up. He
Mhm.
thinks to himself he's like holding back the urge to vomit, and
Mhm.
it would have been better if he had never been born at all.
Yep.
That's not a normal way of thinking in that situation. Most people would just be desperately trying to get through it, hoping that the girl, stays hidden. They would be
Um.
like in survival mode. They wouldn't be dedicating any portion of their brain power to regretting their existence.
Well. That was because he thinking he's the lowest of the scum, and if that be the case, I think they have like a quote on that. If that be the case, he will be the lowest or something. Like he realized that he's come for doing all this, and he just like in pain doing that. I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, I think maybe what you're referencing is the part where he says, "Well, if I'm already this disgusting, if I'm already this low, then
Yep, 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 yep.
I might as well fall as far as I can."
Yeah, 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 yeah. So that what I was referring. Yes.
Yeah. Um,
So
yeah,
it's
and I
that
mean
way of
that's
thinking, you know.
yeah, that's I mean to be honest, I've thought similar things. Not in this situation, obviously, but like if I'm if I'm feeling particularly bad about myself or about something I've done,
Yep.
I use that as an excuse, and I just think, well, if I'm already feeling
Cool.
this horrible, or if I've already treated someone else this badly, I might as well not even try. You know,
Uh,
I might
I
as
think
well
that's
just keep going.
yeah. I can see the thinking, but I think that's when me and UT different, because I would try to fix up. I would try
Right.
to do like positive thing in order to maybe amend it for that,
Right. Right.
or worst case scenario, just leave it alone.
Yeah. Well, that's very admirable of you, but this
Yeah,
manga has no admirable characters,
I know.
except for maybe Midori. But I think we're going to learn that she's pretty twisted as well, going forward.
uh, Midori now is like a saint, like whatever Yuichi does, she accept him for who he is.
Right. Yeah. So I guess we can move forward a little bit to let's
Yep.
see.
The second part.
It's chapter 40.
Oh,
Yeah, where she finds him on the train tracks and vows
yep.
to stay together with him. Um, you know,
Yep.
and do what he asks. As
Yep.
long as what's the condition again? Oh, that he doesn't run away, right? Like that he stays together with her.
Yep. So if he hurts her, she gonna kill him, but he not gonna run away.
Right. Yeah, obviously, if that sort of promise
I
is being made at the start of a relationship, it is not going to end very well.
Yeah, I don't think that that kind of makes sense. I don't think that makes sense. But yeah, that's just their promises to each other.
Well,
So let me.
I think that's part of why we can already tell that she's not as like normal and nice as she puts on, because she's attracted to this guy.
Yeah.
Like knowing what you know about him at this point, who would still be interested in him after he had said all that stuff?
Hmm.
Not a normal person, that's for sure.
Well, I do know that if I find a real life girl that's like Midori, I would.
You would do what?
I I would date her. You know.
What does that have to do with what I was just talking about? I'm saying she's the
All
one
right.
who's not normal because she's into Yuichi.
I
You're not
I
like
mean like.
Yuichi.
All right. I mean like her abnormal is okay with me. That's all I meant.
Okay. All right. Well, it's good to know
All
what
right.
kind of standards you have. Important information for the podcast.
All right. Let's get to the second part of the show, which is we get back to Pun Pun, the badminton tournaments,
Right.
Yaguichi, um, and the bet that they make. It's not exactly the it's not exactly the bet because
Yeah.
I don't think Pun Pun have to do anything.
Right. It's Yaguchi is tying together his success in the badminton tournament with, whatever confession he's going to make to Aiko about
Right.
wanting to stay together with her or whatever he was going to say.
Yeah.
And of course it doesn't work out because in every chapter where we see Yaguchi, he's got that grimace, that little smile on his
Yeah.
face, hiding the pain that he's dealing with in his foot.
Yep. It just like the whole Yaguchi's characters so far what we see it's just painful. He experienced pain. He doesn't look happy at all. That's just what I mean.
Yeah, every time we get that panel of him smiling in that same kind of forced looking way, it's been pretty clear, I think, as we've moved along in this volume and in the last one, that he was not going to win the badminton tournament.
Yep. Yep.
And it's so like Pun Pun to the manga, not the character. It's so like this story to put him in the finals
And have
and
their
give
hope
and
crush.
give him that hope and then crush it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, he didn't know though that like while he's fighting for his life, like risking his foot, like being a disabled person for life. Aiko actually talked to Poon Poon, holding his hand, uh, and she kind of make the same promise to go to wherever that is with him again.
Kagoshima.
All right, Kagoshima. Yep.
Yeah, and so based on there's a lot of dialogue in those chapters,
Yep.
but based on all of it kind of put together, it's clear that she was waiting. She's waiting to
Yep.
go to Kagoshima. The 2 years that she hasn't exchanged a word with Pun Pun, she was waiting.
Yep.
Because she can't relate to what's his name, Yaguchi. She can't relate to him because he has a nice family and lots of places to run away to.
Yep.
So because Yaguchi's background is like secure, and he had a typical childhood, she's not attracted to him. That is messed up.
That is.
Aiko's twisted.
Yeah, I know, but do you actually feel the way that she? Do you actually understand her her process of thought?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because she,
it's scary. Hey,
she doesn't want to. She has such a negative self-image that she doesn't want to be together with someone who had that easy life. which she
Yep.
probably hates. The fact that so many people grew up
I
with love,
I do think she
in their
said.
homes as when
Yep.
they were children. I think she hates that.
I think she just long for someone who can be with her like 100%.
Yeah, she says as much. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well,
Uh,
what she says specifically is that when she was a child, she had dreams of being like an actor or a model or something,
yep.
which would cause many people to love her. But
Hmm.
she's thrown that idea away, and now she just wants only one person who can be completely in sync with her and understand her. And
Yep.
I think the change in her mentality there indicates like desperation.
Yep.
Um,
And she even said afterwards that like if she have that kind of connection, she would be happy she could die
right.
or something along that line.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what she says. If I achieved that sort of happiness, then I would be okay with dying.
Uh,
So
so I
lots of talk about death in this
yeah
volume.
I do know like where this manga gonna end.
Yeah, I mean someone's gonna die, and I mean like
Yep.
that's part of why I wanted Mrs. Yagi to die or Washio, somebody. I don't want
Yep.
no cop outs, please. Like
All right.
somebody needs to be dead
Let's
by the end of this thing.
let's say like we are in volume 4 now. Did anyone die? Like did any characters as of important died?
Of importance, I don't think so.
Yeah.
All the kids survived the factory explosion.
Yeah, the
Um,
factory itself, like the guy who killed his parents, his families,
I mean,
they're not that important. So
yeah, all the kids survived the factory explosion. Um, all the people in Yuichi's flashback lived on
yep, survive.
despite their injuries and their insanity.
Right.
Um, the girl,
Yeah.
the girl is at an art school in Kyoto, pottery girl.
Mhm. So I maybe that is a final step. Like when someone die, it will start to crumble because it's the manga itself. While no one die, it's been really dark and twisted as it is.
Yeah. Um, someone will die
I like
eventually.
the yep. I like the way that Pun Pun actually asked Aiko to go back to Yaguchi.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was. Go ahead.
unexpected for me.
Yeah,
Like
me
I didn't
too.
think yep. I didn't think that Pun Pun gonna do that.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of repeats the structure of Volume 2 a little bit because
Mhm.
things don't go. Something goes wrong with Aiko and Poon Poon's relationship. A little distance forms between them, and then there's a time skip,
Yep.
which is what happened here.
Oh, the time skip is a bit erupted, hey?
Um, kind of. I mean, what was the time skip was revealed in chapter 46, the short one at the end of volume 4. So what happened in 45? What was the lead up?
Yeah.
What was it?
We all right. We just know that I think they're going to sell the house.
Right. Well, we don't learn that
I'm not
until 46, right? Or did we know before
nah.
that?
Like I do think that they have to talk with the guy about selling the house, the salesman. I'm not really sure though.
Let me see. I've just pulled up chapter 45. So there's the Ferris wheel date between Midori and Yuichi, and Poon Poon is there. He's on the Ferris wheel. Maybe
All
skip
right.
forward a bit. Poon Poon in his room, and then the falling star. Spring will definitely come. Blah blah blah. Okay, yeah. Do you remember at the end of volume 2? There's the scene where it says "Good night, Poon Poon," as he's like lying down on the couch crying because
Yep.
his family situation is so awful. and his mom has come home
Yep,
even
yep,
though
yep.
he wanted her to stay in the hospital. It's the same. It's the
Yep.
same thing here. You know, he goes out for a walk, and he's thinking about how it's been a long winter, but spring will come eventually. And
Yep.
then he versus that and thinks that's just a fantasy though. Spring won't necessarily come. Good night,
Mhm.
Poon Poon. And he's
Yep.
sitting down on the steps crying. So I all of this to say, I was trying to remember in my head, like, was there a very specific ending point that would lead into the cliffhanger? But no, there wasn't.
I think the most important cliffhanging point is just it's not really a cliffhanging. It's like the event is that his mother and father are officially divorced.
Well,
So
that
that's
happened a while ago,
like
didn't it?
no. So I mean like that might the end of the volume 2.
Ah,
For this one though, nothing really happened, right?
yeah. I mean,
Oh,
it
so
was just
that no. So he, I think that those two are marked by his pathways to Aiko. So the
right.
first one, when he missed Aiko meeting, and now when he's basically refused Aiko's, you know, request
Offer.
for
Yeah, yeah.
offers. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I can think of.
Let me see here. Yeah, but he tells her to go to Yaguchi in chapter 43, and we don't get the time skip until 46.
Huh. All right.
Um. Anyway,
Oh yeah. We got the whole punch about he talking to the radio, listen to the radio.
yes. Oh my gosh, I loved the radio scene because he's hearing about
Yeah.
all these problems that like
Yep.
people his age are having. I held
Yep.
hands with a girl and then I got a boner. How do I stop that from happening? Or somebody calling in about like they just feel totally alone. They feel like they have no friends. Things like
Yep.
that. And then you get that panel where it's him like hypothetically
Yep.
what his call-in would sound like.
Yep.
You know, I'm living in a situation where my parents, but like there's domestic abuse in my home, and every night I have to listen to my uncle fuck his new girlfriend in the next room over. What should I do? Like,
Well, he did say I have no dreams and I have no girlfriend. And what
that's
should I
right.
do?
That's right. That was so fun. Like that was so funny to me to hear it laid out like that, but also so
Right.
sad at the same time. Boon Boon is just it's so humorously tragic.
I know. So it's psychotic. This guy.
Chapter 45 was interesting. The whole thing about him being up on top of the Ferris wheel and looking down at all the people, seeing them as small as ants,
Mhm.
and realizing that each of them have their own lives and their own stories, their own troubles.
Yep. Yeah.
That's I remember in Haruhi,
Oh yeah.
the scene in the baseball stadium
Right.
when Haruhi realizes that everyone there in the stadium is their own individual person and that they all live their own lives. That was like a momentous point in her
Moment for her.
development.
Yep.
This kind of felt similar.
Yep.
Poon Poon is
I
like
would say though.
overwhelmed by that
Right.
realization.
Yep. I would say though that Poon Poon though is better than Haruhi. The story, like the way they pull up that story. I
Well,
always
yeah.
feel that story from Haruhi was kind of outplaced for
Well,
some reason.
in Haruhi, entire episodes are out of place because of the airing order.
Oh, no, all right. I don't mean that. I don't mean like that section alone. Feel off. I feel it doesn't mesh well with the rest of the series.
Okay. Well, I mean, I do understand what you mean, but like, how did you watch Haruhi? Did you watch it in airing order or
I
chronological order?
I watch it in airing orders, so
Okay.
like outplace others.
Me too. But I
I
wonder,
love
like,
it.
if you were to watch it chronologically, I wonder if that that baseball stadium flashback would have, would feel more appropriate. It would slot in a little bit better.
Maybe.
In any
I
case,
do.
what's up?
Oh, I just say like if I have to recommend people to watch Haruhi, I would recommend them to watch the airing orders.
Well, yeah, I think everybody should start that way, because that's the way that it was intended.
Right.
In terms of like people making the decision about what episodes to put on the air when, like if you're watching Haruhi, you want that confusion. You want to have to try to sort things out, because that's how KyoAni wanted to present it.
I must say though the first 10 episodes of episode 00, which are supposed to be the first one, regarding the
film.
filming section.
Yeah.
Yep. I was really bored. I was like, oh my god, is that like the rest of the show gonna be like that? Because
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Haruhi.
Yeah.
At that point.
The first time I watched that episode, I just immediately dropped the series. I was like, this is so dumb, and I don't care about this. And then I don't know, maybe a year or two later, I went back, I watched it, I pushed through it, I found some parts of it to enjoy, kind of like the independent feel, and
Right.
like the little bits of character animation. Got through it, started, watching the rest of the series, and I did enjoy it overall. Anyway.
And, all right. All right. Yep.
Yeah, Poon Poon's Ferris wheel scene. I think the reason that it's better and the reason it succeeds is because it carries over that feeling of like, because that's a very isolating feeling. I think to realize that everyone is essentially alone, in terms of the lives they lead, and everyone has a separate perception of the world. No one can,
Right.
like, because we don't exist in like an Evangelion sense of shared consciousness. Spoilers for Evangelion because you haven't seen it, but
That's right.
everybody sees the world through their own two eyes and no one else's, and just that fact alone keeps us from totally understanding each other. And I think that's what Poon Poon gets out of that realization, and the manga carries it into like his feelings of sadness through to the end when it says "Goodnight, Poon Poon" at the end of chapter 45. Like, he resents his dad for writing him letters, even though he doesn't understand his feelings. He detests the nice, cozy family atmosphere at his house now that Midori is there. She's offering to cook and stuff, and he does not like that because it's foreign to him. It's strange. He probably is regretting the fact that he didn't go after Aiko when he had the chance. There's just so much negativity built up in his mind. All he can do is go outside for a walk, realize that things are hopeless, sit down on the steps and cry.
Yeah. I think that does make like the end of the ending point before the time skip, because the time skip that we see in volume 2 that ended with him crying as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I wonder if that's
miserable.
going to be like something that
The
continues
motif.
on throughout. Yeah. Like at the end of every even numbered volume. So far, we've gotten 2 and 4. The second to last chapter will end with him in that same pose with the 2 tear marks under his eyes, crying, and then the narrator says, "Good night, Poon Poon."
Right. We do have now at the end of this volume another characters crying.
Yuichi.
Uncle Yuichi. Yep.
Yeah. He's been missing for a week, and he's got a gigantic beard.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the cliffhanger. We want to know what's going on with
Yep.
him.
I wonder what happened, but I don't think that's what any good.
Well, probably not. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to continue with the Yuichi focus.
Yep.
This was last volume and this volume. Yuichi got about as much spotlight as Poon Poon, I think.
All right. So
apparently that's going to continue at least a little bit, because we're being led into volume 5 with that question about what's going on with him.
Yep. So that's gonna be 2 years later. So Poon Poon now is high school.
Yeah.
Right.
We're getting into the good stuff now, baby.
All right. You said that lies the last four volume wasn't good. It was really good.
Wait, I said what wasn't good?
You said like now we get into the good stuff.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Forget everything that we just read. No. I mean, this might be my least favorite volume so far, the one we just read.
Huh. All right.
I really wanted more darkness from the Yuichi story. Um,
Wow.
and Poon Poon, like I prefer I don't know. All of the dialogue between he and Aiko um, is I felt like there was a little bit too much. Maybe I prefer when Poon Poon is like the focus is on him, you know,
Mhm.
and how he feels, just how he feels alone and totally alienated when he's talking with Aiko or with his other like quote unquote friends, then we as readers are like trying to understand multiple perspectives, not just Poon
Mhm.
Poon's. Whereas when it's really focused on him by himself, we can sink like deeper into his state of mind.
Yep.
I don't know. That's just my. I'm hazarding a guess as to why this one was not my favorite, but it was it
All
was it was
right.
fine. You know, lots
Yep.
of lots of there was lots of humor. You know, I really love how funny this manga can be, even when it deals with the sorts of subject matter that it does.
Right. Wow.
The like in the badminton tournament, the scene where the line judge, the referee, looks up at
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
Aiko's friend in the stands and gives her a little wink, and she like recoils.
Yep.
And then that the way that I mean, it wasn't just the way they were drawn and the situation that was funny. It was the way that it spiraled into Komatsu like having a breakdown and like grabbing him by the shirt and being like, was it in or was it out? You know, the way that it impacts the other story that's going on in the same location, the
Yeah.
badminton match. It's really interesting structure.
Yeah. That was really bizarre.
Yeah.
Like on the facial expressions, but I think that's exactly the effect that the Asano, the mangaka, wanted to convey.
Yeah. Man,
Jesus.
I took a lot of notes here and I don't know, we don't really have time to go into them, but there are
You
plenty
can
of
mention one of them before we finish.
Okay, how about the fact that when Yaguchi or Yuichi, I'm sorry, when Uncle Yuichi was sitting on the train tracks, he saw God. It was a different face.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I was about to ask that. Is that like the face of the guy from George Harrison, the guy from the Beatles?
Dude, I literally wrote down there's an appearance from a different God with a Beatles mop top and a grin revealing his front teeth. I literally wrote that
All
down.
right,
Yeah,
maybe that's
no,
him.
that wasn't
No.
that wasn't
All right,
I'm actually a big Beatles fan, and that
George.
wasn't George, that wasn't any of those guys, but he did have the same haircut. And I think the idea, but and he says "piro piro poo." He's got like so it's not "tinkle tinkle hoy," but it's like a different little catchphrase, I guess.
Chanting name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the idea behind Yuichi seeing a different god is kind of reinforcing the idea that everyone sees the world differently and that everyone is alone in that sense. Of
Mm.
course, he wouldn't see the same god as Poon Poon
Poon poon.
because
Mm.
God is the. I'm sure that if you asked Asano, he would say there's no one God. You know, God is a
Mm.
construct, and so everyone
Mm.
sees him differently, thinks of him differently. So I think that's why we saw the different face. Poon Poon's God
All
is
right.
the one with the afro and the glasses, and
Yep.
he's. But I'm
Always
sure that
smiling.
what? Yes, always. Oh no, no,
Always.
we actually saw him with some different facial expressions in this volume.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
It's interesting.
And it's interesting that Poon Poon actually acknowledged that his god is useless for
Right.
once. Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, well, he's not wrong about that. Yeah, but I mean, maybe the idea behind Punpun's god. I'll just call him God, I guess. His face is changing because Punpun is like starting to recognize that he's not a consistent presence. He's not helpful. He doesn't have Punpun's interest at heart. In fact, he frequently mocks him.
Yep.
So we're seeing him look a little bit different. He's a little inconsistent. Maybe that's the idea behind that. I don't know.
All right. I think that's like the end of our podcast.
Yeah,
we're reaching like an hour and 45 minutes now.
Yeah, time to wrap it up. I think you're good.
All right. So next week gonna be basically the same with our volume 5 of Poon Poon. So we're like halfway into Poon Poon now. Really.
I don't know.
Not halfway.
We're not. Right, as of right now, we are exactly 1/3 of the way through.
Oh, is that like I thought it was just like 11 volumes.
I'm not sure how many volumes there are, but there are 147 chapters, I believe.
Oh, sorry. Yep. All right, got that. I actually tempted to read more Poom Poom because like when you get into it, you usually shock into depression. But I think one volume a week is like a right length. So
yeah, because
right.
think about how much stuff we have to talk about. We did a solid 45 minutes, maybe a little bit less, like 40, on just one volume. We couldn't do two.
Yep.
Unless we were to just stop watching anime and only talking about Poon Poon.
That's right. Nah. Let's just keep it like this week.
We'll keep it up. Okay.
All right. See you guys next week. Have a good week.
Take care.
See ya.